With the popularity of many Darkstar variations, the potential of a single unit has been slept on throughout the patch. My name is Boris, and today I'll be looking at the Lissandra Chogath tempo board, commonly played in the APAC region, one of the top pioneers being YBY1, and we're going to follow that by his VOD review. The general gist of the comp is that we're playing it from a tempo spot where we have early copies and or items. Emblems can be also great as they open up many possibilities how we can be approaching the line. We are then not leveling and holding our gold to roll on 3-1. We can dig if we are close. If you hit that magic number of 33, that's gonna allow you to buy the last copy you need and still make 40 gold the following turn. If you are far away from the Chogath 3, don't sit there chasing it. Simply push levels with the Lissandra. You want to be streaking on that stage 3, as this is your spike window. Then for level 7, we are able to be slotting in this board, which is going to be fairly competitive even in stage 4 if you're able to get to Kaisa 2 with the appropriate items. She loving that blue buff better than Shojin, then Infinity Edge, and for last slot, you're going to generally want to make Last Whisper as you're not going to be having that anti-armor otherwise. Do not be afraid to roll slightly on level 7 if you are on something like an Alawi pair and Kaisa pair, especially if you do not have that Chogath 3 right there. If we are healthy enough and find some form of an Econ augment that we can capitalize on and make our way to level 9, then we are able to cap around this 6 Darkstar variant as well. For the last slot here, you're fine to be slotting in a Rogue or a Sniper. Kaisa 2 with Rogue is going to be stronger than Jin 2 without a Sniper. That's just how the balance is at the moment. And you can also be looking for a potential higher cap through some other higher value units. For example, this Mighty Mech can become a Nunu2 as well. I made a full guide on the Darkstar Flex, how many variations you can approach this line. I'm going to show the video on the screen right now. But if we identify that we're definitely going to be rich enough and want to start preserving HP, then we are fine to simply roll for our 2 stars on level 8. And if we find a lucky Jin, simply play this board right here. Other things to note, that Lissandra 3 with items is going to be a better carry than the Karma 2. You can also do Nami as a potential for this replicator by swapping out Pantheon. Can toss in something like a Tom Kench if you do not have that Jin ready to go. As mentioned, emblem augments are amazing in this comp if you're able to get their hands on. Generally, we're going to be using our augment selections in any form of a tempo augments, which in the early stages of the game are always item augments. Should shout out Treasure Hunt right there, as it has a 50% chance of landing you that Darkstar emblem, allowing you to play for that 6 Darkstar spike early on. Other good emblems, Timebreaker, Rogue, Brawler, Voyager, Vanguard, Sniper, and Shepherd are all great, offer up possibilities of how you can be capping around your board. For our itemization, Lissandra is going to use the general caster build of JG and double Nashers. Otherwise, simply a single mana item, Shojin blue, and holding some of that utility is fine. Generally, we'll wish to slam anything we can for tempo, then transition that utility over to Karma, which in ideal case uses the same items, but we want someone to be obviously holding that utility. If you're chasing the Chogath, he's going to be probably our sole real tank for quite a while, therefore that Stoneplate is good there. Then he seems to love Warmogs quite a bit. Otherwise, Crown Guard, Bramble in the current meta, Protector's Vow, Steadfast are all great tank items, just slam what you have for tempo. There are also a few artifacts worth shouting out, which would be Ares or Dawncore for Lissandra are great at performing on that. Soraka specifically for the Chogath, and Indomitable also seems to be doing quite fine in stats. For our god selection, since we are playing a reroll comp, Varus is obviously going to be quite strong, has potential for those early dupes, and his blessing is also very strong. Yasuo Hexes has some potential for nasty interactions. The anti-heal Hex right there is very strong currently in its stat budget. Echo for some potential item tempo, economy, or having that anomaly as your last item as well. Or Kale simply for accelerated item tempo. As usual, this cheat sheet is going to be available in the link down below, along with the meta sheet where I have all the cheat sheets. Otherwise, you can find them on my Twitter. And now let's jump in the VOD review with YBY1. Jumping in game with YBY1, our gods for the game are Thresh and Evelyn, and in the Victor encounter we are immediately starting off with that Lissandra 2. Great unit to be playing around early on, not only because of the video I explained, but generally she combines with so many traits, Shepherds being one of the best mid-game boards you can be playing around. I would imagine we would, since we feel the 3 cost, then definitely would be buying out this shop as an option. Quite few angles we could be playing. I'm not exactly sure what the Stargazer is, but we pick up the Bruiser pairs and make that Ezreal 2. Ezreal 2 being one of the prime ways we can get into the Kirk-Riven line. And as you can note, he has quite large stream notifications right there. For our item slam, we immediately could be looking at JG, and a lot of players in this meta are shying away from making those AP slams since they do not want to be ending on some kind of level 8 AP board. There is a level 9 AP board if you can get to like a Sona and play around that, or obviously into some form of X with a bar duo. But it's hard to get there, and obviously until when you won't know. Aura farming is one of the ways how you could get there, but I believe that we have pretty clear direction how we could be playing into this if we are going to be making an AP slam right away. Epoch, a weaker econ augment we could be considering, and early learnings is obviously great for those 1-cost rerolls. We do not exactly have that many Chogath copies, so he has to feel quite strong about this line if he's going to be picking it here, as we do not really have other out. We have not scouted the rest of the lobby, and this is I believe a TPC scrim lobby just a day before the TPC, as you might notice some of the very known names in the lobby. So if he's going to be testing it out here, we can see his hovering is there quite strong. Now, Treasure Hunt, a lot of players have observed that Treasure Hunt is actually going to be a stronger option than these early learnings, purely due to the fact this is treated as an item augment, and you have a 50% chance of getting that Darkstar emblem right there. And if you want a generic econ for pushing levels, obviously Cluttermine would be here. But he seems to be choosing between the two. I believe in this kind of situation, you just flip the third one and see if there's something better, but I don't think there's that much better things. We are leaning, yeah, we are leaning into these early learnings perhaps because we do not see any econ gods, and obviously the thing with Treasure Hunt, you have to be proccing it. We have 5 copies of Lissandra already, and we have the potential to pair up to 2-star that Chogath right there as well. Yeah, proccing the treasure chests with a Treasure Hunt is something you generally want to be cashing out both chests on stage 3, and it might be a little rough to do so, especially if you're on many copies early on, right? But due to the fact that it has the potential for the emblem, some players consider it to be the stronger option. So now we're going to be going with that JG slam and keeping an open mana item right there. Obviously both Kai'Sa and our Lissandra are going to want some form of mana item. And the same goes for obviously Karma as well, right? The only time you would not be wanting to make another mana item is in the case if you are in the extremely prime spot to be making to that Jin 2, and then even a Jin 2 you will have to do a little finesse by trying to tack in some form of a sniper, so this Jin 2 is actually stronger than Kai'Sa with a rogue. I'm going to be fielding just the units we have right here to make 20, since we are on a loss streak anyhow. Should have that component item prio, and hopefully be able to secure a strong spike coming up on that stage 3. So not exactly the best spot to be playing, even from having these 5 copies right away, but our angle's looking good. Immediately goes with the Thresh boon right there. Just quickly check if I'm able to decipher which one the Evelyn was offering for ourselves. And this is the random 4-cost one. Belt, we want some belts. We have the JG, want Nashor's. Chogath loves some belt item as well. Blue buff is something that Kai'Sa wants, but not exactly that we would be wanting to slam onto this Lissandra right away. Could also just go for a Spirit Visage slam, but probably going to be holding on to that as we are going on a loss streak. If we are able to secure this 5 loss, we should be having a quite strong of an econ going into it. Picking up an MF for a replicator potentially if we're going to go for that, and I believe this was simply extra gold that we got from Thresh, so that's actually quite good for ourselves. Simply securing more econ, allowing us to then push levels. The harder part of this comp is going to be obviously trying to make to that level 9 if you're playing for the 6 Darkstar variant without an emblem. Otherwise, there are ways you can obviously, as I've indicated, cap your board on level 8 as well, and even there you can be staying there and chasing Kai'Sa 3 as well if you have the correct items for it, as she can be an absolute menace and is a very strong unit in the current meta. Still opting to play a little bit of a stronger board, as we notice that we should be losing Q into your player here with a Karma, with a Silver Dawn. Looks like might be some Karma and Urgot reroll line from Bobster right here. So we are in a 5 loss and should be now looking to potentially spike either on 3-1 or 3-2. Rolling immediately already, so this is going to be a signal that they're most likely angling a potential roll down to a, let's see if he stops, but quite a little deeper roll down on 3-1. Did not even find that 2-star Chogath. So our board state hasn't improved that much since the start of the game, so our shops haven't been the strongest ones. Going to go for, I believe, yeah, this would be 1 Nashers, and we're going to be rolling now here. If we get, okay, going to be digging a little bit deeper here. We are only 1 copy off now, and we're able to hit on the 30 gold mark, even have some units to spare to sell, leveling immediately to slot in that Ilawi, and then we have the Meepsy lined up as well for a Shepherd, and have managed to pick up a Pantheon. So we have the Replicator. Our mid-game board is pretty much set, able to make 30, and we also have 33, so we're guaranteed to be making 40 next turn if we open to sell. For our next augment selection, is this win out? This might be wise spending, but no, this should be a win out. I don't think we are able to take us in this spot. Bronze for life, any comp that can utilize Ras is going to be quite good, but since we're running the 4 Darkstar variant, there's not that many trays. The breakpoint is at least about 6 trays that you would be wanting for this to work. I believe for the Prismatic Bronze for life, it might be even closer to 7. Jeweled Lotus, we already have that Jeweled Gauntlet Slam, but it's probably going to be the best combat option offered for us right now, so going to be rerolling probably left and then right, just defaulting, or perhaps he sees a potential to be playing in some form of a Bronze for Life board. I'm not seeing the angle exactly, but he's the pro. Prismatic Ticket, we have rolled down, we have hit, we are not chasing the Chogath 3 from this kind of a spot. He's defaulting, and this could give us immediate tempo, right? The belt overflow right there. We can keep 1 belt open for a potential another Nashers, and we can slam a Warmogs that's going to stabilize our frontline and more backline damage to be sufficient for this stage. But he does not seem to like this augment. I have noticed that a lot of players are not the biggest fans of the augment simply due to it having received some nerfs and it's been being 4 components. It's great for tempo in the early game, but he just sees that this Jeweled Lotus right there is going to be the most powerful option we can make. In terms of combat wise, it has the potential higher ceiling, would alleviate us the necessity to make an Infinity Edge on the Kaisa either. And we went for an aggressive level there to 6, wanting to be tempoing off from this spot, as we are expecting that we might fall off a little bit more in the later of the game. See, Jazz Latte seems there to already push level 7, but we queue into an anima player here, so that's a free pickings for ourselves. Very interesting approach. But YBY1 is noted as the masterclass, in case I didn't mention at the start, but if you don't know this guy, he's a pretty much final lobby household name, has been in pretty much every Worlds for quite a while, and is an absolute top tier masterclass player. For our next god selection, we have the Pandora Seed versus, this would be a, is this steamroll or this is just a random 3-star, 1 cost 3-star? I believe this is 1 cost 3-star. I would be leaning here towards the bow. We still need to make that Nashers and a Void Staff, so that's going to be a more valuable component for ourselves. And we have the potential to be rolling into some of our higher tier units. If we find a random 5 cost, we can be then fishing for that Jin, offers us a possibility to be capping in that way. Just picking whatever unit we have for Pengu's offering, as they do not have any worthwhile upgrades that we might be looking out for. And should be just cruising out from here. I am still. He seems to not like it as the belt overflow so much. I'm just looking at this spot. We do not really have frontline items, right? Obviously, the rest of our whole board is frontline, but a lot of concentrated power is necessary for your frontline to hold off. We can see already this 1-star Victor with just Jewel Gauntlet and a Shepherd emblem right there, and the psionic item has managed to blow up our board, as we did not have that many upgrades there before either. I would have thought that having some form of a frontline presence that we could have tossed on our upgraded Mordekaiser there, or a Chogath, probably Mordekaiser being the stronger option, might have been a worthwhile. Now up to also figure to try to perhaps position his Lissandra so that at least he with some kind of a chip damage he can get the kill the most units, kill the weaker links in these boards, and then pick up wins from there that way, eliminating their cast and reducing their value drastically. But very nicely have rebounded from our loss streak on to a 5-win right now, cruising our way to be level 7, where we could be simply slotting in that Kai'Sa for our 4 Darkstar. Now going to be going for a reforge on our sword, as yeah, this is going to be a red buff since we want that sorted. And we have a TG. Now TG is going to be our frontline. We are in some kind of a dire situation for the frontline items. This is why sometimes you do definitely want to be picking up for items. I believe this might have been the fight that we wanted to be positioning more in the middle, not to proc this Briar so early on. As we can see, we proc the Briar, she gets the reset, get the attack speed, and is able to mow us down. For our last augment selection right now, could be fishing for more components. The Ascension, our frontline, I believe at the moment, is simply not that strong. Regarding the econ option, could be something we're considering. If our plan is to make to 9, we're going to be requiring a lot of gold, but might be the situation where we're simply going to have to pull the trigger on level 8, considering our current board state, and we are not super high on HP. Therefore, a small grab bag could provide us with the potential of hitting some real frontline items, or starting itemizing our second carry right away. Exiles would be a tricky positioning, especially the black holes will not interact with this. You can still put Ninus next to it, but it's going to be hard to toss off. Pandora's, you do never want to click this on stage 4 unless your items are completely cooked. And then we had the last augment, I believe, was for ourselves. Rolling for days, not exactly looking for that form of an econ, it seems, as we are going to be quite strong here on 4 Darkstar, able to slot that Kai'Sa in. And yeah, Exiles right here is going to alleviate our frontline issue just a little bit. As you can see, we can also push the summon of a Baya next to the Mordekaiser, should be receiving the shield. Do not need to be positioning that out of the way, just reconfirming right there. Yep, we get the shield, you're all good. Managed to position away from this Master Yi, but it's only a 1-star Master Yi. Our shields are enough to be clearing the board from J or C right there. Going to be rolling here for, I believe we are simply rolling for Karmas and potential Kai'Sas. We can see there's a Darkstar player right there as well with that emblem, so this is going to be essentially our father that we're going to be facing, as they are, it looks to be in a good spot, have managed to stabilize their board, and they have found a Jhin already, so they could even be delaying their level 9 for a little bit of a while into a mech board from Bobster. Going from that, I believe it was the Anima cash out. No, it wasn't, but still, this is where we're going to start falling off, right? Especially without a Kai'Sa 2. Kai'Sa 2 is going to be the key to carry us through this stage, unless we are on a high HP where we're allowed to be sacking to make our way to level 9. Picking up an Alawi 2, so getting a little bit more frontline presence. Have the Spark to slam, finally sorting out that shred for ourselves. Picked up a gold option from our last god offering, as we are simply now able to push levels and hopefully look for more upgrades. You can see this is going to be the case always with these 1-cost rerolls, especially if you dig deep. And as we pushed levels aggressively for the tempo there to secure that 5 streak, we are a little bit poor on our side, and we're playing a little bit of attacks here, obviously with the Pandora seat as well. Now we find that Kai'Sa 2 could be, because he's not going to be holding onto the Riven, it seems. He's not going to be valuing the Rogue at the moment as much. This is simply a little bit more stable board that we're able to make here, valuing the extra unit in form of a buyer. And now this is another mech player. This player is very, very hot on the mech right there. Milio from APAC region as well. We're able to take him out, as in a contest he just simply hasn't managed to hit. Another player, JRC, also going down, so I think it was the both mech players down there. And now we have managed to pick up the Galio 2 now and find a Shojin for our Kai'Sa. Immediately had to pick whatever option we could slam, and this is going to be one of the better ones we can be considering. Not moving that TG off from the mech, perhaps valuing the necessity for this Spark to live as long as possible, rather than playing and hoping for some form of a TG roll. This one is obviously not the stronger one. slotting that onto the Ilaoi, and I believe that we are holding onto these Nunez' potential cap. Now the Bobster here also has that mech board, has that Silver Mandorn. Instead of playing for Urgot, opted to go for mech. Obviously a little bit of a stronger option, but in a contest very hard to pull off. Then again, finding your Urgots in a contest is also a hard one to pull off. Picking up that Nunu too, so we are seeing the potential to be capping out in the more standard Darkstar way if we ever are able to make it to level 9. Okay, we're going to be rolling it instead. So perhaps we're simply like, because if we were able to make it level 9, we can just start dropping these Shepherd units, right? We're slotting in 6 Darkstar, then we can drop this Ilaoi for a Nunu too. But since we're so far off, it looks like we might just be fishing here for Karma. Our items with are greatly offering us a possibility of playing for Karma, especially if we're able to find a Karma before this. Or we're going for a mech 3 now. There is a mech player in the lobby as we just scouted them, so it might be kind of hard to... Should be quite hard for us to fish that out. But nonetheless, let's see how we approach it. This seems to be more of some form of attempt of the AP Fast 9. It hasn't made it to that Sona 2. Sona 2 is the way that this is enabled in that form of a line. And now we are facing here at the Summertimer. It has that Karma 2 right there. So they are going to be holding off a little of interesting lobbies. Some other players trying out. Obviously, we have our Master Yi here that has managed to wreak havoc on the lobby. And interesting to see what the G2 but double is playing right there. Just Latte holding here on 7 ASOLs on the bench. You can see whenever this Pandora's bench comes out, players are just absolutely trying to fish for any form of win out potential through these 3-star forecasts. Just Latte and Summertimer both go down, so we're against Double. So Double was the other Darkstar player, I believe. Yes, he was. So we had to give up on our plan for the mech 2. And I believe that Double from this kind of a win streak position has simply achieved a lot of a higher cap. We can see sitting here on 50 gold, hasn't even really sent it down for that Jin 2. Heavy is the Crown AP Kaisa. Now that's an interesting choice, but Kaisa is Kaisa. She's still putting in insane amount of work. Obviously this set Kaisa, if you haven't yet noticed, is the AD unit rather than the last set where she had the possibility of swapping forms. That was more reminiscent of the last set Kaisa's board. And now we should be able to make our way to level 9, but we find that Jin, so let's see if we're opting to go for a Nami cap instead. This is another potential way how we could be capping. Yes, Nami is going to be just a little bit stronger carry than the Karma right there. Able to find a Bramble Vest, which should be quite good into this matchup. So let's see how we fare. Our last item for the Karma is not that great, but we get cleared. So it seems that also he did prefer having that Karma. Well, I guess this simply goes from the math, right? Having 4 Darkstar buff for the Karma, having the stats should theoretically make it stronger. Then the naked Nami right there with only 1 space groove from herself. I would assume so, yes. It should simply be more base stats, so that was a mistake on my part. But very well displayed how you properly tempo, bounce back from a loss streak, find that open line, able to hit a little bit early, but I mean our early game was quite weak. We didn't find anything starting from that 2-1. Play the tempo correctly, identify the roll timings, the level timings, where we needed to spike our board, able to roll for our forecast when the majority of players have already pulled out the contested ones. And from there, we're able to capitalize on the strength of this Lissandra to secure ourselves a top 2, only losing out to a very high capped Darkstar board on the opposite side from Double. I would like to thank you for watching. I hope that you learned something new. I wish to see you in the next one. Have a good one.